there are so many groups and organizations and agencies that are all playing their part in this attempt to raise consciousness or to, cause some kind of shift in the planetary paradigm about how we experience life. And there's Save the Kids, and there's Save the Forests, and there's a million different things that these different groups and organizations are working toward. And the one event is about what would happen if all those groups and organizations all focused on one event. Then there would be a far more powerful impact in terms of bringing them all into a focus, into a point, if you will, of focus. That by doing that, then we could shift the paradigm, because there's hundreds of millions, if not a billion people that are within these groups and organizations, websites, all these different foundations and philosophies that are all trying to improve life on Earth in their own distinctive way. And so what we're moving towards, as we move into this 2012 shift, is that it's moving from the individual to the collective. And so the one event is about taking the collective approach to causing the shift and to raising the consciousness. And when that takes place, everybody gets what they want. The animals get saved, the forest gets saved, because there's a completely different shift in how we experience life. And with that shift, then it's a natural flow that people are going to make the choices, make the decisions in their lives about creating a better world. And there is a focus point that they can use their own individual personal power, but it's part of a collective power which has far more impact.
How do you think people are living at the moment unaware of this?
Well, people are probably, for the most part, people are in a conditioned way of living, and that conditioned perception has come from the past. So we've inherited the past that says, well, this is impossible. You can't shift a paradigm because that's never happened before. And so this belief that it can't happen is basically just a conditioned state. And so, how I approach that is that, in the last 150 years, there's been tens of thousands of paradigm shifts. Things that were impossible, historically impossible, that became possible over the last 100 years. And so we're still, people today, the Orville writes.
Today, the Orville writes?
Today, the Orville writes, those who are building something new, there are still people even today that will come up to them and say, oh, that's impossible. And so that's a conditioned reality. All we have to do is look at the last 100 years and realize everything's possible. And given another 10 years or 100 years, it's going to be possible. Well, if it's possible in 10 years or 100 years, it's possible now. So how do we approach this in a way that says all things are possible? Because history has taught us that everything changes. And every new idea, every new concept, even though they are generally greeted with a certain amount of resistance, over time there's a breakthrough, and then people go, well, of course, that makes sense. So any kind of change is going to come up against the traditional way of viewing and the traditional belief systems that are in place. And so that's what, again, this 2012 shift is about, is to create, the opportunity for a collective change, for a collective experience, so that we can begin to create a better life for all of us with the intelligence that we have come into. We have the technology, we have the intelligence to live in a much more dynamic, healthy way, more of a unified way, a more harmonic way. And so the question is, how do we approach that? How do we begin that? And that's what the one event is really about, and that is what the 2012 Shift opportunity is about, is, hey, let's take advantage of it.